I think this is a pretty good way to start because if you're familiar with the game, Josh Allen made it look easy against that Seahawks defense.
Yes, he did.
There's a lot of questions raised about the Seahawks defense, even though they've struggled a lot, about what the hell was going on that Sunday. Why did it look so easy?
Right.
Especially with the passing game. Here's what Pete Carroll had to say afterward.
We didn't expect that to happen. We didn't think they would just totally abandon the running game, and we had a real nice plan if they were going to run it. We have to be able to adapt better to make sure that we can turn it around faster.
And they didn't turn it around. It was 4-1 pass to run for the Bills offense. I guess if they would have run more, Seahawks defense would have looked better. What did you see?
Well, yeah, maybe. That's what the Seattle does, and maybe they're abusing it too much to this point. Listen, I always respect Seattle's aggressive nature and the things they do and all of that, but I think they've crossed the barrier of where I go aggressive, and now we're being aggressively stupid. That's where I think it's a little bit of a fine line here that we got to watch out. Now, the thing I'm still shocked by that comment, I think he was just shocked that because he's an old school coach. And I think more he's just going, I'm surprised there wasn't a little more balance. I don't think he expected them to run a lot.
Yeah.
But I think he was shocked that they basically just said, screw the run game. We're going to throw it just about every play.
Yeah.
And, what I would say to Pete is like, hey, Buffalo's run game stinks. Why would they want to why would they want to run the ball against you guys? And that's really the marquee thing your defense does, which is crowd the line of scrimmage and stop the run. And, even with Buffalo, I think it's like the 21st ranked rush offense in football. It's not really that. It's that because Josh Allen can run and do things like that.
Yeah.
So it's a misleading stat. It's really, if they don't have Josh Allen, it's a rushing team that's down towards 28, 29, 30 in football that way. And, of course, they got weapons. So why the hell would they run the ball into 8-man fronts all game long?
Exactly. It's one thing for the Seahawks defense, for whatever reason, to think they might come out running more.
Right.
At some point, you have to recognize what's going on. There was a point early in the game, it was 23 passes to only 2 runs. So why not recognize that and switch up what you're doing?
Yeah, well, I think, I don't know. It kind of went into like 3 phases of the game. I think they panicked a little too early in the football game, first off. Now, we'll get into Seattle's offense, and, hey, they put the defense in some tough spots, too, because they couldn't quite get going early either. But I think, really, Seattle started the game not being overly aggressive. I've sat there and filmed and went, oh, okay. And I think there was a few passes on those first 2 drives where Allen got back there and he just sat there, like flat-footed, and nobody got near him. And he kind of picked them apart.
Yeah.
And I think that after that, they panicked, and they said, whoa, we can't let him sit there all day like that. But then they panicked and went overboard to where it got to a phase of the football game at one point. And I just wrote, they've given up on zone and 4-man rushes. It's playing man-to-man almost every play and blitzing almost every play. And I wrote, it's embarrassing. It's 8 and 12 and 15-yard completions every time he drops back to pass.
And receivers running, just by themselves.
By themselves.
I wrote down twice, is this a prevent defense? I wrote down once, are they only playing with 9 guys? Where's everybody else?
They have nobody that can play man-to-man. And then when you're blitzing 5 and 6 people at the line of scrimmage, there's huge holes in the back end. Buffalo had a good plan as far as how to slow up some of those, blitz looks. And then, of course, he's great at kind of avoiding a blitzer or being like Mahomes and kind of fading away from the blitzer pressure and then throwing the ball. So, you're right. And once they got into that rhythm there, where they went, oh, my gosh, it's the same defense every play. It's blitz, it's man-to-man. They hit wide open little shallow crossers. Yes. And then he just went a few times, wait, my guy Diggs is better than you on the outside, and we're going to play one-on-one, and bam, I'll hit it.
And with nobody underneath.
Nobody.
Soft corners,
nobody.
10 yards off, and nobody underneath to take away that 10, 15-yard out route.
No, and finally, after being basically beat into submission, there in the third quarter, when they got up like 27-10, Seattle adjusted. And this is, to me, where I would be like, hey, please, Seattle, because I root for you guys. I respect what they do out there. Let's play this element a little. They got back into the football game because they started to go, let's play coverage. Let's change coverages a little bit. Let's just rush for. Pete, I don't know if you could sit there on the fly and look up. I know you saw some of my notes, but I would bet you sacks.
7. 7 sacks.
I bet you it was close to whether it was the 4-man rush or the blitz. I bet you it was maybe blitz got him 4 or 3 times.
Say that one more time, Pete.
Because I'd be
3 times with the blitz, 4 times with
Oh, Chris is right. Yes.
Yeah.
That to me, so that proves to you that the blitz wasn't that special.
Yeah.
You know, you're getting almost the same pressure with less people rushing and more people in coverage. And at some point you have to evaluate that and go, you know what? We're not really helping ourselves in this situation. And I think, you know, that's where they made a big change in the football game.
And they blitzed them at the end of the game.
But then it went back.
But I mean, 58% of the time. By the time we got to the end, it was 58% blitz. And Josh Allen was 18 out of 23 for 255. That's better than 10 yards per attempt against your pressure.
Yeah, and I know, and that's why I just don't think they can live and play that style of football anymore. And they might be able to get away with that. Let's say in certain matchups, the 49ers the week before, not that type of weaponry at receiver, not a drop-back pass offense. They want to run football and do that. Okay, then that game plan's okay. But we've seen when teams can throw it all on them, you can't do that. They got to figure out other ways with some different coverages and things like that. And they did that for a period of time, Paul. And that's what helped them get back into the game at 27-20 and all of that. And then it went to 34-20. And they played that style still with no blitzes, let's coverage. But Buffalo went down and scored a touchdown. But it was work. It was a 9-play, 82-yard drive. It wasn't easy like all the other drives were all that game.
Right.
But for some reason after that drive, now it's 34-20, you know, Seattle got back to they got down. And I think they just panicked a little bit from there to where he was moving the ball. And then it got down into the 3rd and 15 where he hits John Brown in the screen pass. That's where they panicked. They got on those 2 plays and they went, oh, they're getting too close. They're kind of moving it.
Yeah.
And we got to do something right now.
And then they rushed 8 or
They
7?
rushed 8 or 7.
I couldn't tell.
I think it was 7.
It was a bunch.
Well, yeah, and it was 4 one-on-ones.
Yeah.
And within that, the corner on that side is playing 15 yards off.
Yeah.
And, you know, Seattle's so aggressive up front and quarterback, we got to get the quarterback. They have no discipline when it comes to that stuff at times. So they're flying upfield, let's get Josh Allen, and the linemen are letting them go. And now he has a convoy to lead him up to the field. But I just didn't understand maybe that panic at that part of the football game. Mm-hmm. You know, it's I know 30, it's 27-20 at this point in this part of the game. You know, you go to 30-20.
Yeah.
Oh, you're still in it.
Right there.
34-20, you were still in it. I understand, but I just feel like they let them off the hook there where they were getting a little momentum. Carlos Dunlap showed up a lot during the game.
Yep.
You know, Jerron Reed got some pressure. Puna Ford. You know, they did okay.
What difference did Jamal Adams make that you saw?
Difference to Jamal Adams, it wasn't his best day, but you feel Jamal Adams' presence all over the field, especially on the second level. They do. Now, he had some mistakes in the game. He did. The first touchdown of the game, it's the deep cross to Isaiah McKenzie. Mm-hmm. It's totally Jamal Adams' fault. It's cover 3 Seattle defense. He's responsible for that inside third guy of that deep cross. He has to carry him. It's one of the flaws of the Seattle defense. They ran a play basically testing if he knew he was going to do that. So everybody bear with me at home here, but it's 3 receivers to his right. And when it's 3 receivers to the right, that inside guy runs like a deep cross, right? The middle guy just runs a straight seam, and then the outside guy just runs a go. Those are the 3 vertical concept. On the backside, they ran a little 10-yard curl, and they put a guy into the flat. It's that 3-match zone. Now, he's the weak side 3 safety. So that curl kind of came into his vision, and Josh Allen really sold it and looked over there.
He did.
And he bit the hook. Yeah. Instead of looking at his rules and going, wait, I have to be worried about number 3 on the other side in case he comes my way. I'm responsible. And Allen, you know, he played that curl flat concept, but I think once he saw, oh, wait, the curl should be open. Coach told me all week, though, if it's not open, it's because Adams is in the wrong place, and then he looks deep, wide open. So there was that issue. You know, there's, of course, the issue of the pass interference late in the game when he sticks his leg out. Listen, I thought that was pass interference. But where I want everybody to realize, again, here, too, don't jump on Adams. Jamal Adams gets asked to do things, again, that no safety in football gets asked to do. None of it.
Like playing the run and the pass?
Playing the run, the pass, man-to-man coverage. You got to cover this guy. He's covering Stephon Diggs a few times during the game.
Right.
That should not happen. That should not happen. No really good defense would put their strong safety on Stephon Diggs and have him go, hey, we need you to cover him one-on-one. We're blitzing here. And you need to cover him kind of like 20, 25 yards down the field. Yeah. That's not fair to do to him. He's really talented. It's going to be negative PFF grades and all those type of things. But it's, again, the context is he's being asked to do things that nobody else would do.
So between backing off how much aggressive man they play and using Jamal Adams in a way that would make his talents look the best, what should they do next week and the weeks after differently that they didn't do on Sunday?
I just think they have to be a little bit more selective of when they want to go crazy and blitz. It can't just be like, we're going to be aggressive and blitz and blitz and blitz and blitz and blitz. Man, that's
was that more than they had shown in the weeks before?
I think it was more, especially in like certain pass looks and pass downs where you went, wait, there's no threat. We've already seen they're not going to run it. Mm-hmm. Why are we still at the line of scrimmage acting like it's, it's 3rd and 3 for the ball game here and we're going to blitz everybody and do those type of things? So that's where I just think it went a little bit into Crazyville last week. And with the addition to Dunlap and Jamal Adams being back, and they did a few things, when they did drop into zone coverage, and I went, that's a cool way to run that and do that to where, again, I know they're not going to be a great defense. They just got to find the right balance of, when do we call these zones? Do we have a beat on this personnel in formation to where we can call zone and play coverage? And then do we have a beat on this personnel in formation to where now it's time to blitz and be aggressive that way? They're not going to be perfect. I understand that. But like we've always been saying, we just want them to go from 32 into like the mid to the lower 20s, and it'll make their defense and team, markedly better.
Buffalo went 4 wide quite a bit.
Yeah.
And Stephon Diggs leads it. I mean, he's been targeted more than any receiver in the NFL.
Right.
But 1 through 4, I mean, Seattle looked really bad defending the pass.
Yeah.
Buffalo 1 through 4, in addition to how well Josh Allen played.
Right.
I mean, that's a tough wide receiver group to cover man-to-man. And to expect any defensive back group to stick with those guys over half of the time in man, that's a tough call.
No, it is. And especially that team, they don't have enough corners to go around.
Right.
And that goes back to why the issue is like they have to play Jamal Adams on guys sometimes where you go, no, he shouldn't be covering this human being at any point. That is not fair. And, there's not enough corners on their roster, and that's a tough ask. And, you say what you want. It's a good offensive coordinator who's got some creativity, and Josh Allen's amazing. I know he lost 2 games in the last month, and we all got to talk about it still, but he's 7-2, and he's still amazing and throwing at 68%, and everybody needs to back off his back a little bit. Yeah, I know they went through a tough point. They played some good teams. They went 2-2.
They went 2-2.
I know, but people talk about it like they went on a 4-game losing streak, and he threw 7-6 picks, pick sixes, excuse me. And I just would sit there and just go, it's bullcrap. It really is. I mean, Josh Allen is playing as good as anybody in football.
Right.
And he's thrown less egregious interceptions than Tom Brady this year. It's not even close.
Or the other guy on the other side of the field.
Or Russell Wilson, right, who's had 2 games where he lost the game or at least put them in a really tough spot because of his carelessness. But I understand they built up a track record, those other guys. I just still think like Josh Allen doesn't get the respect he deserves.
If that was his worst, and he did cool down a little bit after the first 4 games he was so hot.
Yeah,
but that stretch of 4 games where he threw a couple more interceptions and they went 2-2, if that's his worst stretch of the season, Buffalo fans should be thrilled.
No doubt. Exactly right. And that's what I've tried to say that on the show and even here on the podcast lately. Tennessee and Kansas City are pretty good teams. Yeah. They didn't lose the game because of him. Mm-hmm. I mean, he keeps them in the game. Yeah, the Jets game was lackluster. That Jets defense, is not horrible, though. And then they had to play the Patriots the week after that.
Right.
And that defense can really cover the pass and do that thing. So, either way, we talked about it. We hit it. I think we hit everything that's important there. But Seattle, I think the bottom line just has to reassess how they're playing on that side of the ball.
I would say so. All right, Russell Wilson. We talked about him just a little bit. Let's go full into the Seahawks offense now. I think a good place to start is that 55-yard touchdown to David Moore.
Yeah, well, I mean.
Incredible.
Incredible.
It went 64.5 yards in the air.
Right. 64.5. I mean, I think the first thing to jump off to me there more than anything is he's running towards the line of scrimmage. It's not like he, Aaron Rodgers got momentum going and then sat up, and got set to throw the ball and then launched it. He did it on the run. Like, just running, like, I'm running. Oh, wait, he's open. Let me just turn and throw it. And I don't ever set up or put my feet in the ground to drive off of it. I'm amazed by the strength in his arm at times. I really am. And if you're watching on YouTube here, you could see. There he is, pressure. Oh, magic. Boom. Way down the field. Now, Kristen, can you rewind that back one more time? This is the real issue of the play here, just to break this down. So, go right. Yeah, go. This is perfect. When you go a little farther, Kristen, let it play for a minute. I'm going to tell it to pause here 1 second. Get ready to pause. Let's pause right now. Now, the deep safety on the right. That's Tre'Davious White. He was at corner, and he went back there to play the safety. This is what we would call two invert. The weak side safety is now playing corner over there. Does that make sense? You got me there?
Yeah.
The biggest issue here is Tre'Davious White, who's not used to playing safety in the NFL.
Right.
But he has no business being where he is, worried about the guy going down the middle. It's Tampa 2, and as everybody knows, Tampa 2, the middle linebacker has down the middle. So you don't have to be responsible for that area. He got a little nosy there and just left David Moore wide open. And, yeah, that was a big-time throw to where literally in my notes I wrote, this game's over. And then they scored in 4 seconds, and I went, well, I guess it's not. I forgot they scored so quickly. And, just Russell Wilson being amazing.
Okay, so 64 and a half yards in the air, longest completed pass over the last 4 seasons when you just look at air distance.
That's amazing.
That's the good. And I thought there was more good than bad with Wilson on Sunday.
Right.
However, small little pattern developing 2 of the last 3 weeks. If he throws more than one pick, his team loses. And I saw some familiarity with that first pick in the end zone with what we saw against Arizona. Kind of careless at a really bad moment.
Right. Well, let's talk about the first thing you said, right off the bat. The game is on him every week.
I know.
So if he struggles at all, a little like Buffalo, if Josh Allen doesn't play great, all of a sudden it doesn't matter who it is, we're in a game. Or if the offense isn't just clicking, we're in a game.
Because your defense gives up 35 points a game.
It's all predicated on the quarterback having to make the plays and make it go and put the pressure on them. And we need you to put the pressure on them to help our own defense out and do all those things. The fourth down play in the end zone, it's unfortunate. He does have to force the issue a little bit because it's fourth down, right?
Yep.
And Buffalo did a great job of covering the original play. They really did. There was nobody open. At least I didn't think so. Did you?
No.
Right?
Nobody open.
And then the other aspect of the play that was great is Jerry Hughes does a great job of not letting him get outside to where now he can attack the goal line. And that's usually how he gets people open. Oh, I'm running towards the goal line. Are you going to come tackle me? Oh, you are? I'm going to throw it. Oh, you're going to stay there and cover? I'm going to run it for a touchdown. That's where he gets great. Hughes does a great job. And then he does see somebody open in the back of the end zone. But Jordan Poyer, he did this to Brady last year early in the regular season. Same type of play where, he's underneath, but he realizes he's covered, and he's just reading the eyes. And once he saw Wilson was no longer looking at the fullback or the running back in the flat, he kind of just went, I see his eyes going over here. Let me just float back. He intercepts it. And, that was a big moment of the football game because they had a chance to make it a little bit more competitive early on instead of what did they end up doing after that drive? They ended up kicking a field goal, Buffalo, to go up 17-0, I believe, right?
Yeah. But it feels like, and I know that we like to focus on the big plays and the big themes of certain games that we just saw on Sunday.
Yeah.
But if I could pull out just a little bit and zoom out, it feels like a pattern halfway through the season where Russell Wilson's going to be the MVP.
Yeah.
But there's zero margin for error with the defense giving up in the mid-30s. If he doesn't have an A every game, pull a rabbit out of the hat in the fourth quarter, are they going to lose in December and January?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Unless that, the other thing that saves them at times is they do have some guys who make plays on defense that help out, but they'll have to rely on that, and that's risky, as we know, because we don't know if their defense can consistently do that.
It would. I think the best thing for that team is if they had some close games where Russell Wilson was average, but they won. Like the Steelers could get away with Ben Roethlisberger being.
You're right.
Had an off day.
They've proved it.
Looks like the Saints could win if Drew's a little bit off.
Sure.
He certainly wasn't off Sunday, but I think you get the point. I'm not even close to saying that about Seattle.
No, absolutely not. We're with Russell Wilson. He's in Aaron Rodgersville for Aaron Rodgers the last 10 years.
Very similar.
It's just like, hey, if he doesn't play awesome, then we're in trouble as a team. If he does, then we can almost beat anybody.
Right.
That's really what it comes down to. And it's unfortunate that way. It's a lot, and he's going to have games like this because of that. It is. When you have to be the guy that carries everybody and the driving force of the football team, yeah, he's going to toe the line of playing a little dangerously every now and then or having to take a chance, and it came back to bite him in the butt. But here's the biggest thing I want to say about what I thought was interesting. First off, Buffalo's defense was better in this football game.
How so?
Well, and it's not that it's statistically going to show because Russell's threw for 390 and everything like that. But, hey, the turnovers, I think the defensive scheme itself was less predictable. If you gave me a crystal ball, I'd go, I think Sean McDermott really got involved in defensive game planning last week. I do.
What'd you see?
I just saw them do some coverages and some, blitz zones that were 4-man rushes that looked like blitzes. And yes, some were actual blitz zones where they did bring 5 or 6. But, back to the old motto of there were some plays and some formations where McDermott had everybody dropping in the right area, where you just go, ooh, he had a beat on some of their formations. I don't know if he hasn't been involved in their defense. I know they were injured, and that probably made them play a little bit more vanilla too. They got some more of their defensive linemen back. That's good. Edmonds is feeling healthy. I think that helps them. But here's the interesting thing. There was a tale of 2 games here with the defense. The first half was all about exotic zones and 4-man rushes that maybe looked like what I call blitz change, right? Where I always talk about one guy blitzes, one guy drops. It still ends up being a 4-man rush.
It's more about deception than being aggressive.
Exactly right. It's more about that, right? The deception gets the guy free, even though it's 4-man. And then you have those people in coverage. And so they did that a lot. And I think that threw off Seattle in the first half. I think they were like, wait, they didn't play like this against anybody all year. And they even went to the well on some of the runs that Kansas City and the Rams gashed Buffalo with. But because they played a little different on that side of the ball, those runs weren't game plan there to be had, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But then the second half, and I don't know why, and I want your opinion on this. They played a different style of football. It's like they knew, they were like, we played coverage that half, we did all this. They're going to go in and adjust and have a game plan for coverage. And now in the second half, they came out and blitzed and played pressure.
Right.
And that's what they did. And I don't know why they did it.
Do you think it was something they saw in the first half, or maybe all week they're like, we're going to do this hard in the first half, second half we're coming out completely different?
I think it was a preordained plan. I do. I'll just read my notes verbatim. I wrote, man, second half, they're living dangerously with blitzing, but it's paying off. And they had good blitzes on a third down to force a field goal to make it 27-20. But I wrote, why do it? And even because I was just thinking out loud, like, why do it? Why would you blitz? And then I just was sitting there and why is it? Is it to stop Russell from scrambling? Because if you just rush 4 and you don't have great 4 rushers, how many times have we seen Russell Wilson, okay, they're rushing 4, they're playing zone, I'm just going to start taking over and I'm going to buy time. And then slowly he wears out your front 4 because they're chasing him around for 2 quarters in the second half. And then it comes down to the end, the last drive of the game, and you're exhausted. You can't rush the passer. And all of a sudden it's like boom, boom, boom. Yes. Oh, hey, look, he's picking you apart.
Yeah, it seems like you would have a much better chance of getting the better of him, not with the blitz, because he's so nifty and nimble and great feel, makes those rushers miss all the time. Drop more and see if you can bait him into taking a risky throw.
I know. And there is that element of it. But I think he's gotten to a point, too, where if you do that consistently too much, he'll be patient and manipulate the zone coverage. So I found that very interesting, where Buffalo first half, it was coverages, it was fake 4-man blitzes, guy go, guy drop back, play zones, do all that. And in the second half, they came out with a totally different game plan. And I think that caught them by surprise. And he wasn't able to run around and make the magic, if you really think about it.
Yeah.
He got he got the strip sack fumble to start the second half, right? Which was a blitz. And then, had a blitz on the other strip sack fumble. Now, that should have been picked up by the right tackle. He messed it up. But those were 2 plays where McDermott's going to go, I forced the issue. I didn't let him wear us out by scrambling and running around. And they won the game, and I think it was cool to see.
But unlike Seattle, he picked and chose his spots.
Yes.
Didn't do it the entire time.
Exactly right. He picked and chose his spots.
Yeah.
He really did. It wasn't like, I'm scared, and now we're going to blitz 30 plays in a row and let them get in a groove with what their blitz offense is. Yeah. He never did that. Yeah, even with that, it was, okay, more pressure. Okay, but you have to throw here. We're not going to be stupid in pressure here. We'll drop in zone. Right. Or It's the long third down when he throws the interception. It's deep Tampa 2. He went, okay, I got pressure on the first 2 downs. I put him in a bad spot. I'm not going to do it again now so he can throw it up to DK Metcalf. It's Tampa 2 again. He thinks he's got DK Metcalf. Tre'Davious White intercepts it. And, that was pretty much it after that.
And kudos, you conjugated the verb better than I did there with the picked and choose or picked and chose. So that's a win for you.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.